Hello. It's been 5 months since I last filmed anything. So yeah, I guess it's time for another pregnancy update, because why not? I said this is not going to be a pregnancy channel, but it's kind of turning into a pregnancy channel because, you know, that's the main thing I have to talk about right now, so bear with me. In this video, we're going to talk about my second trimester recap. And basically that's everything that happened during the second trimester of my pregnancy. That means between weeks 14 and 27, since the third trimester starts at 28 weeks. I am currently in the third trimester, so like it's kind of like my last chance to film a second trimester recap. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into it. I have a bunch of notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything, and I'm going to touch on a variety of topics, starting with symptoms and then going into my weight gain, first baby moves, appointments, products, and finally all the general things that I did during this second trimester. Before I start, I want to specify, of course, I'm not a medical professional. This has been just my experience, and every medical thing that is mentioned here was prescribed by my doctor and was cleared by my doctor. So your experience may be different. The doctor's recommendations may be different. Do not take anything that I'm saying as something to be like reliable for your situation, but more like something that gives you a glimpse into what you may be expecting for your second trimester. For a little bit of background, my pregnancy is an IVF pregnancy, which made a whole lot of a difference in the first trimester because it was, full of more appointments than normal. It was full of more scares than normal and stuff like that. But once the first trimester was over, it became just like a normal whatever pregnancy. Okay, so I'm going to start with the most painful topic, which is the symptoms. You know how they say that normally the second trimester is the easiest and the lightest and the most peaceful and the most full of energy and full of good vibes and positive vibes, and yeah, that was not my case at all. First of all, touching upon the nausea, I was nauseous between weeks 10 and 21. So second trimester starts at 14 weeks, and I was nauseous for the first 7 weeks of my second trimester. It was quite a miserable time because it was a nausea that was not only in the morning. By the way, morning sickness is like, a lie. For some people, it's just all day sickness, and that's how it was for me. I had a lot of food aversions, a lot of things that I normally like, but that I couldn't eat just because they would make me nauseous. There were also foods that I liked to eat, I couldn't help but eating, but I knew they would make me nauseous, and they would make me nauseous. So it was this like vicious circle that I couldn't escape at times. Apart from nausea, I also suffered from acid reflux and heartburn, which are still occasionally ongoing, but it was much worse in the second trimester. A general lack of energy. When I say that my favorite place to be was on the couch after I was done with work, it was on the couch. Like I spent countless hours on the couch doing nothing, just being on my phone and being miserable, basically. For a few weeks, I also suffered from like a lack of appetite. Like I couldn't eat my normal portions. Like I would feel full very, very, very quickly. So I could only eat small portions. I was not snacking all throughout the day or anything like that. Like there was literally like a few weeks when I had 3 meals a day, no snacks in between, small portions. Yeah, just general lack of appetite. In terms of cravings, I did have cravings, but they were general, like nothing crazy, just a bunch of carbs. Like there were days on end in which I just wanted to eat fries and nothing but fries. In the morning, of course, I could only eat carbs and sweet stuff like, I don't know, toast and honey, or cereal, or those biscuits that you bake in the oven that come like pre-made and you just bake them in the oven. Crepes, pancakes, anything carbs in the morning. And then, yeah, I was craving a lot of fries. I was craving a lot of potato chips, pizza, all the bad things, basically. I was trying to compensate this by, eating as many fruits and vegetables as possible, usually under the form of a salad. Very interestingly, I'm a person who eats very sour foods. Like I put a ton of vinegar on my salads, for example. And I knew that vinegar makes you, have acid reflux because it's an acid, right? It makes you have heartburn. But I just couldn't help myself and just kept pouring vinegar on my salads. So yeah, it was kind of like my fault as well, but I just was craving it. I liked the sour taste even more than usual. Another thing that gave me a lot of heartburn was tomato sauce, because of course tomatoes have a lot of acid in them, and it happens to be my favorite sauce when I make pasta. And I still I just couldn't not make pasta with tomato sauce because it was so tasty, but I knew that I would be so acidy and refluxy after it. I just couldn't help myself. In terms of aches and pains, I didn't have that many. I had mild belly aches constantly throughout, I think, my whole pregnancy already. Like they were there in the first trimester, like those mini micro cramps. They were there in the second trimester, just like you felt that your belly was stretching because obviously something was growing inside of it and is growing inside of it. So I guess the walls of your uterus are in continuous tension from being stretched and growing. I also had a few instances of toe cramps that were horrible, horrible, horrible. And one night I woke up to leg cramps, like both my legs were under this excruciating pain, and it was very scary because I didn't know what was happening to me, and they were just so painful. So luckily Ivan was there, obviously, and he was able to massage my calves because the cramps were in my calves basically, and it went away, and it was just one occasion. So thank goodness. Another thing that I had was plantar fasciitis. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. It's basically when a tendon in the base of your foot swells and becomes inflamed or something like that. And I had on each foot, I had this lump. I don't know how to explain it better, but I had one lump in each foot, and it was painful to step on it. It was painful to walk in my flip-flops. I had to walk in something super soft like my fluffy wintry slippers. It was not winter anymore, so that was a bit uncomfortable. I think it went away after maybe a couple of weeks. So this lasted a couple of weeks. I couldn't use any normal treatment because when you're pregnant, you're not supposed to use anti-inflammatory medications. I just massaged my feet with lotion, I guess, something like that. And the last symptom that I remember and that I'm gonna mention is a stuffy nose. I didn't know before being pregnant that stuffy nose is a pregnancy symptom, but it is for some people. And I had it, and I still have it to this day. And I guess there's nothing I can do about it because you cannot use normal nose drops when you're pregnant. You have to, well, the only thing you can use is a saline solution, which does absolutely nothing to me. And so this is pretty annoying, but it's gotten better. Second trimester though, a lot of stuffy nose without being actually sick or having a cold. The next thing on my list is the weight gain. Luckily, thank goodness, I did not gain a lot of weight so far in this pregnancy. And in the second trimester, I think the maximum weight that I got to was around 139 pounds. For the record, before being pregnant, I was 133 pounds. And by the way, I'm 5'1", so I'm very short. 133 pounds was, I think it was a BMI of 25, exactly 25. So over 25, you're overweight, which means my weight was quite on the, high side for my height. But somehow I managed to only gain like 6 pounds until the end of my second trimester. This is because, you know, I had all this nausea going on, all this vomiting going on, and all this lack of appetite going on. So I guess my body just took fat from my arms and just put it on my belly or in my uterus or something like that. So I did not gain a lot of weight. That's one of the things I'm happy about. I know in the third trimester is when the bulk of your weight gain happens, and right now I'm 31 weeks, so I'm 3 weeks into my third trimester, and I'm 143 pounds, so I put 4 more pounds, so 10 in total since I got pregnant, which is pretty good. I'm quite comfortable with it. I don't feel huge, like here, of course I feel huge in my belly, but you're pregnant, you're huge in your belly at some point. Next on my list are the baby moves, which I started feeling around week 19, 20. I think it's a little bit later than most people say they feel their baby moving, but I guess it was because of the position or something, I don't know. So week 19 to 20, I started feeling some squiggly worm fishy moves, like there was literally like a worm or a fish in my belly, just like and then as the weeks went by they became more pronounced, I guess. Now they seem like literal kicks or spasm or like little stuff like that, but yeah, they were like in the second trimester they were mostly squiggly worm moves. In terms of number of appointments, I had 5 total appointments. One of them was the anatomy scan, and I think that was at 20 or 21 weeks. The rest were appointments just with my OBGYN or with the nurse and without an ultrasound. The nice thing was that my mom was actually visiting from Romania, and she was here when I had my anatomy scan, so she could actually join me and see the baby, which was very emotional and very special because she's not going to be here when the baby is born. At the anatomy scan, everything went great. The baby looked perfect, measured a little bit small, but the doctor was not worried about this thing. Like, he was in the 20th percentile, which means out of 100 babies of his gestational age, 19 are smaller than him and like 80 are bigger than him. But this is very normal because I'm very petite, and they say that you get the fetus that you're actually able to carry. So it's very rare for like a super petite lady to have a big baby, you know, because it would be like very hard taking him out. So that was that, but organs were perfect. 10 toes, 10 fingers, 10 everything. My doctor told me, your anatomy scan was the most boring I got to see, and your pregnancy is the most boring that I get to see because nothing happens, everything's always fine. The baby's heart rate was always around like 147, 148, 146, like every appointment. Although you don't have ultrasounds at every appointment, they measure the baby's heart rate with a Doppler. And mine was, my baby's was always around 140 something, which also is great. Okay, now we're going into my favorite section, which is the products and the must-haves and what I used and what I ended up not using in my second trimester. And I'm going to start with my prenatals because it's something that you have to take for the whole duration of your pregnancy, and I never got to talk about anything like that in my first trimester recap. So yeah, prenatals. For me, this is what worked. Nature's Bounty from your trustworthy local CVS or Walgreens, the most basic brand of prenatals. These are the gummies, which I liked because they are sour and they don't make me sick, and that's good enough for me. At some point, I wanted something like, you know, more researched, more fancy, more, let's see, something with good reviews. I'm too basic, I don't want to be basic. Okay, so I got this Glow brand from Amazon. It did not work for me because I literally could not keep them down. They gave me so much nausea, and every time I had these for breakfast, I would end up throwing up my breakfast. So no, I didn't even get to finish them. So I just got back to my trusted Nature's Bounty. In terms of prescription medications, I took metoclopramide for my nausea. It was prescribed by my doctor, by my OBGYN, and I took it for a good few weeks. I don't remember how many. I didn't finish my bottle. I had a bottle of like 60 pills for 30 days. So like twice a day. But there were days when I didn't take twice a day because I didn't feel like I needed to. There were days when I did need twice a day and they didn't work because I would vomit anyway. So that's that. Of course, if you have severe nausea, consult with your doctor and take whatever your doctor thinks it's safe. In my case, my doctor gave me these. She also prescribed Diclegis, I think this is the name, but because at that time I didn't have my ID for the prescription medication insurance, which at my job is separate from your actual medical ID, those pills were like $400 without insurance, and I just didn't take them. I just took the metoclopramide. Anyway, that's that. That's the only prescription medication. Of course, I took Tylenol when I had like migraines or, headaches, or I had a cold at some point, and Tylenol was all I could take, obviously. Another product that I used intensely was my blood pressure monitor that I purchased at the end of my first trimester, because at one of the appointments, they saw my blood pressure was like on the verge of being a little bit too high, like 130 something. When it gets to 140, it's considered, I guess, too high. So anyway, because mine was like 130 something, my doctor was like, you have to buy a blood pressure monitor and monitor your blood pressure from time to time and let us know if it ever gets to 140. So I did that. Luckily, my blood pressure never got to 140. It actually very rarely got to 130 something, and it was mostly in the 120 something range, with like the lower one being like 80 something, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, so that was that. I still use my blood pressure monitor from time to time, so it's a good purchase to make. In terms of maternity clothes, I like to think that I didn't buy too many because, first of all, I work from home, so I don't need a heavy rotation of different clothes. I can live in whatever clothes I want. Most of our meetings are cameras off, and even if they're camera on, people will never be able to tell if you're wearing slacks or leggings, if you know what I mean. So in terms of clothes, I bought 3 pairs of maternity jeans. 1 pair is flared, the other 2 are skinny. 3 maternity t-shirts, 3 maternity leggings, out of which I think I only wore 2. And 1 maternity hoodie that I never got to wear because I live in Houston and there's almost never the need to wear a hoodie, except in winter. But I bought this at the end of my first trimester, so it was already spring, already too hot, did not need to wear it. And that's kind of it. I actually made some clothes for myself that are belly friendly, this dress being one of them. So I didn't want to buy a lot of clothes that I could only use when I'm pregnant. Oh no, and my mom bought me 2 dresses that are belly friendly, but they're not necessarily maternity dresses, so I'm going to be able to wear them after I give birth as well. Another product that I can swear by is this Trilastin stretch mark prevention cream, which I religiously applied every night on my belly, starting at the end of my first trimester and to this day. And I'm gonna do it until the day I give birth and maybe even afterwards. I think it works because I'm 31 weeks right now and I have what I think is a huge belly for my experience of being pregnant from the first time. And I do not have any stretch marks. And I'm not necessarily someone who genetically does not have stretch marks. I think I have a couple on my butt, if I'm not wrong. But this thing works. So yeah, highly recommend. I think the first, I used the first jar from week maybe 13 to yesterday, and I just ordered my second jar. So it lasts a long time, even with applying it every day. And the first jar was something like $47, and the second one, I think I got a discount. It happened to be on sale on Amazon, and it was like $40. But money well spent, I swear. Another thing that came to my mind is the Preggy Pops. You know, the famous candy that is supposed to help you not be nauseous. And I did order like, I think a 3-pack of those from Amazon, and I consumed about half of them. They work at some point or until some point, but then they become like, you just don't, I don't know, you're just too nauseous even for Preggy Pops. Like they are sour, but they're also sweet because they're candy. So at some point I was just over them and, just stopped eating them. But they did work for a while. So I do not want to completely dismiss them. And almost from the same category is the Tums, somewhere between candy and pills. You can find them at the pharmacy. They're quite chalky, and you basically chew them or suck them, and they're supposed to make you less heartburny. And now that I remember it, I also consumed considerable amounts of Pepsid, which is also another, it's an over-the-counter medication, so not prescription, and it's something that actually my OBGYN suggested. She said, you can't treat nausea if you don't treat the acid reflux. I guess this makes sense somehow. These pills kind of worked. For a while, I was taking once a day, up to twice a day. I think you can take up to 2 in 24 hours. Of course, even if it's an over-the-counter medication, I still say, please talk to your doctor and ask if it's safe in your case. And circling back to medication, actually, there is one more prescription medication that I'm taking. It's the baby aspirin. It's the microdose 81 milligram aspirin micro pill that I take once a day. This one was prescribed by my reproductive endocrinologist, my fertility doctor who did the IVF. And the recommendation was renewed by my OBGYN, who said I'm supposed to take this for the whole duration of my pregnancy. I think it's supposed to work as a blood thinner or something like that, or maybe against high blood pressure. I'm not very sure why I'm supposed to take it, but I have to, and I take it because the doctor said so. So what would a pregnancy be without pregnancy books? There is a wealth of books out there on Amazon about everything pregnancy, everything mommyhood, everything babyhood. And I tried my best to not spend a lot of money on books, because we all know when the baby comes, you will have to spend a lot of money anyway for the baby. So I tried to maintain everything to a minimum. But I still got 3 books. The first one is this. The Mayo Clinic Guide to a Healthy Pregnancy. And I was very conflicted between what to expect when you're expecting, which is, the Bible of pregnancy in the United States, and this one. And I ended up choosing this one because, first of all, it's written by an actual OBGYN. And second of all, because what to expect when you're expecting, I read the reviews on Amazon, and a lot of reviews were saying that a lot of advice in that book is not actual sound medical advice. And I'm a daughter of a doctor, actually of a pediatrician, very relevant in this case. And I believe in medicine. So if I have to choose between a book about pregnancy written by an OBGYN and a book about pregnancy written by not an OBGYN, I will choose this one. It's very nice. Like, it has, you know, basically what to expect week by week, month by month in your pregnancy. It has chapters on childbirth, various types of childbirth, vaginal, induction, C-section, what happens in every case, why you may end up having a C-section, what are like the, you know, the therapeutic indications for a C-section. It has like a section about how to survive with a baby, with a newborn baby, some sections that are relevant for your partner. So yeah, it's a very complete book, and I flip through it a lot, and I reference it when I have, like, you know, questions about what is supposed to happen in certain circumstances. So yeah, totally recommend. Another book is this one. It's the Feel Good Pregnancy Cookbook. And I got this at the end of my first trimester because I was like, okay, let's try to eat as healthy as possible. Let's, you know, just go by the book with all the things you're supposed to eat when you're pregnant. And also, this book has recipes that promise to counteract certain symptoms. Fun fact, I did cook from this book for like, I think 2 weeks. I literally made meal plans with recipes from this book. Grocery wise, it was very expensive to buy all the ingredients because, you know, they're kind of like not your basic ingredients. Like, they have some fancy stuff in it and a lot of things that we did not have in our pantry. It was tasty, but some of the things did not counteract anything at all. Like, I was still nauseous, I was still blah. So after 2 weeks of cooking from this book, I was like, I don't want to see it anymore. Objectively speaking, the recipes, like, I put signs on some of them to reference them. They look and seem and are really tasty. I just, at that time of my pregnancy, I just couldn't look at it anymore after 2 weeks. But it may be worth exploring for you if you are interested in, you know, how to eat healthier during your pregnancy, and maybe, you know, what didn't work for me will work for you. And the last book that I got is another cookbook because I love cooking and I love cookbooks. So this is the 7-ingredient healthy pregnancy cookbook, 75 easy recipes for every stage of pregnancy. I have to confess, I have never made anything from this book, like anything at all, because at first I was stuck in the other one. I got them at the same time, and after, you know, experiencing nausea with the things from the first one, I don't know, there was a time when like I wanted to go back to my basics and like the few things that I liked eating. So yeah, it just didn't make anything from this book, but I do intend to make something from it. I have to. It looks too yummy. So yeah, this is kind of it in terms of products that I used that I bought in my second trimester. As I said, I try to not go too much over the top. I did not get a pregnancy pillow because I naturally am inclined to sleep on my sides. I think the pregnancy pillow is supposed to make you sleep on your side and like provide support for your belly or whatever, just to help you be on your side if you're not naturally inclined to sleep on a side. But because I sleep on my sides, I don't feel like I need that. In terms of clothes, as I said, I just didn't want a lot of clothes and just, you know, just the bare essentials. The last section of this recap is gonna be things I did. A lot of stuff happened actually during my second trimester, and with my complete lack of energy, it was very challenging to do basically anything other than be at my computer and work. But somehow I managed to survive, and make some things happen. The most important thing that happened, I think, was the fact that my family, which is my mom, my brother, and his wife, they managed to visit us from Romania for a total of 3 weeks. So I spent a lot of time with my mom. During this visit, we went on a weekend trip to the Guadalupe River and San Antonio. Another trip that I did was to New York, where I spent 8 days. 5 of those days were only with my mom and my brother and his wife, and then the last 3 days, Ivan, my husband, joined us. Also, because we had 2 weekends and 5 weekdays, I actually worked for 3 of the weekdays. I actually went to our office. The office of the company I work at is in New York, so I went to work to the office, yay. And I got to meet my coworkers. It was really, really fun, and I met my boss at the time. And yeah, it was very nice. I got to see a lot of things that I couldn't see in September last year, when was the first time I went to New York. I got to spend time with my mom. I got to, just be in New York, which is my favorite city in the United States, basically. I think the week that I was in New York was the first week when I was not nauseous. I turned 22 weeks the day before we left for New York, so yeah, it was fun. And the last trip we did during my second trimester was to Galveston, which is 1 hour away from Houston. But we did it like a day trip for Memorial Day, and it was very much fun. We went to the beach and we ate seafood, and then we came back home. And that was the trip. We wanted to do a baby moon, but for financial reasons and for time constraint reasons, we ended up not planning one, and we're not going to have one. We kind of thought, okay, we went to New York, we spent 1 day at the beach, let's just be mindful of finances and time and not go to San Francisco, which was where we were supposed to go for our baby moon. Another significant thing that happened was that I sewed and shipped 3 wedding dresses, which is something that I'm still like amazed that I was able to do with all my lack of energy and some nausea that was still present, because I also have a day job, and but these were orders from 2021, and I think one was from January 2022, and yeah, you don't play with people's weddings, so I had responsibility. So I had to finish sewing and shipping these 3 wedding dresses. It was a huge accomplishment. I'm not currently taking any orders now or in the months to come, because obviously I have my job and I'll have a baby, so no more time for wedding dresses. But yeah, I managed to accomplish that, and I'm very happy that I did. And last but not least, the baby registry. Working on the baby registry took me, I think, 3 whole months. And it was very overwhelming, because I'm someone who knew nothing about what a baby needs. I did not have a lot of babies in my life. I did not have, siblings that are much younger, or, any nephews, nieces. Recently, Ivan's cousin had a baby a year ago, and we inherited a few things from them, but literally just a few, like a crib and a few clothes and a changing table and a dresser. But that's it. So everything else I had to research from scratch, and it's very overwhelming because, once social media networks discover that you're pregnant, your Facebook, your Instagram will be full of ads for pregnancy stuff or for baby stuff. And you'll just get into this rabbit hole of researching products and reading reviews and watching videos and baby essentials and baby must-haves, or baby must-haves that I ended up not using, or a variety of content all about baby stuff. But I managed to put together the baby registry. At some point, I think it had 80 different products, which is mind-blowing. I don't know if I use 80 products like as a human being on a regular basis as an adult. But yeah, I got to a point where I was satisfied with the selection of stuff I put in there. And we have our baby shower on July 16th, which is in 2 weeks. The plan is whatever people don't buy us from the baby registry, we're gonna have to buy ourselves. And yeah, after July 16th, I guess our baby essentials list will be all in our house, somewhere in our closet, which already, because people already started buying us things from the registry, we already have corner in our closet that is a pile of baby stuff. So yeah, this was our second trimester recap. I hope this is useful for someone out there. I hope you don't get too wired up in what to do and what to buy and stuff like that. It's all gonna be okay in the end. People were pregnant without a ton of products to surround them, without baby registries and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll try to put the links of all the products that I mentioned down below in the description box. And yeah, until next time, bye-bye.